Ken Dabbs here with an overview of the movie The Help as equipment for living for women in the workplace desiring unification to address gender bias. The Fortune 100 company that I work with employs over 270,000 employees. As I examine the organization charts across our company, what stands out is that more than half of the top executive vice president positions are held by women. Does this mean that the glass ceiling has been broken at my company? Has gender bias where I work been conquered given the success of women? And are women at my work united to address gender bias? And if so, what tactics did they use to overcome gender bias? My literature review explores research on Burke's theory of equipment for living. I cite evidence of equipment for living in literature, movies, and reality TV shows. Noted, there's a gap in the literature given that equipment for living for the movie The Help for women in the workplace does not exist. This paper will fill that gap. My experience working almost 3 decades in the financial services industry, leading, mentoring, coaching women has led to a consistent theme related to women relationships. There is a division between white women, particularly white women in senior roles, and women of color. White women wonder why women of color don't join them in gender identity causes to wipe out gender bias. And women of color say they want us to join them with gender, but they do not join us in race. This division is caused by a sentiment from women of color that they believe other facets of their identity are being dismissed, specifically their race, ethnicity, and social economical components, which may be at either the individual or group level of their identity. And so women not in power say that women in power often succeeded by colluding with male-dominated cultures that reinforce negative gender stereotypes, as opposed to addressing these negative stereotypes. But women divided does not accomplish the goal of unification, and the movie The Help offers equipment for living for women desiring to unite to address gender bias in the workplace. The Help illustrates this divide clearly. Set in the early 1960s, the white women are portrayed as stay-at-home housewives who are glamorous, they lead charities, they play hard, and their African-American maids clean their houses, cook their food, and raise their children. The plot begins as Skeeter, an aspiring author, wants to write a book about maids and their perspective on things. Skeeter eventually talks Abilene and Minnie into helping her. The antagonist is Hilly. She's the ringleader of the white women, the sorority sisters. She's the villain that it would be hard for any viewer to admire. To illustrate the divide, at one point Hilly shares an idea of a proposal she's written for the governor that bathrooms should be added to garages of white people so that African-American maids do not have to use their indoor bathrooms. She proudly proclaims, separate but equal. 3 themes will further illustrate the movie as The Help as equal. Gender alone does not unite women. These women are hardly united. Separate but equal says it all. Even today, gender is not enough to unite women. Theme number 2. The Help illustrates that real relationships between white women and women of color is unifying. Skeeter owns her power and genuinely pursues Abilene to help her write The Help, who eventually agrees to do it. The initial start of the conversation illustrates Mark Orb's co-cultural theory, which emphasizes the perspective of a subordinated person in a dialogue with someone who is dominant. Initially, Abilene has low trust for Skeeter and this situation and shows her slowness to share and open up. She even asks to go to another question versus revealing her truth out of the gate. Skeeter is patient and shows genuine interest in Abilene. Abilene asks, "What if you don't like what I have to say?" And Skeeter responds, "It doesn't matter what I think. It's your story." These conversations continue, and what results is a true friendship. To the third and final theme, their alliance empowers them to stand up against gender stereotypes of the day and to choose their own path. Skeeter, instead of becoming a housewife, the choice that her friends made, goes against the norm to pursue her dreams of a career as a writer. Abilene, too, chooses her own path. Here we see at the top left Abilene's triumphant march at the end of the movie, declaring her desires to become a writer. She attributes finding her new voice to the conversation that began with the question, "Nobody ever asked me what it was like to be me." Both Skeeter and Abilene get help from each other. Their unification led to their empowerment to break the gender-biased norms of the day, thereby illustrating the help as equipment for living for women desiring unification in the workplace to affect gender bias.